All right, welcome to the CME Creator Showcase. My name is Sean Mannion. I'm the Manager of Media Education at the New York City Center for Media Education. Just a quick intro about us. If you are unfamiliar with the New York City Center for Media Education, we offer classes in film, video, television, studio production, podcasting, post-production classes in Adobe and DaVinci. We offer also classes in virtual production, emerging media, 3D, and applications like Blender and Unreal. If you want to learn more about us and classes, nyccenterformediaeducation.org. We'll drop a link in the chat there for us. But education goes beyond classes, goes beyond the classroom. And that's what this CME Creator Showcase is about. We want to take advantage of this fine screening room we have at Manhattan Neighborhood Network to bring in innovative creators, filmmakers, video art makers like David Jackson and the Dream Video Division group. Welcome, David. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what is Dream Video Division? Where do you fit in Dream Video Division? And just like a quick intro for us.
Yeah, sure. So Dream Video Division is a collective of motion artists, editors, visual artists, a couple of musicians. And it's basically a bunch of people. We take existing media, and we do that to it. Most of our work is done exquisite corpse style, which means that we take, we say we're going to do Metropolis, and we have 15 artists on it. We just divide the movie evenly in that many chunks. We call them segs. Everyone gets their own part to work on. We do whatever we want to it. We put it back together, and it is still roughly the movie.
Yeah, roughly.
It's different now. Yeah.
You change it.
Yeah. So Dream Video Division came out of a different group called Racer Trash that started in 2020. Racer Trash did the same kind of thing, same kind of structure, and then Racer Trash just, wound to an end at the end of 2021, and Dream Video Division is made up of mostly members of that group. So you could find either one of them online. Since 2020, I think we've done like 70 movies. So
That's a few movies.
yeah, it's a little bit. We're gonna go for like Michael Caine numbers.
Okay. You're not Eric Roberts numbers though.
Is he done more than Michael Caine?
He's done a lot of movies.
Okay.
He does. He's one of those. He does just about anything, guys.
Eric Roberts doesn't say no.
No, it doesn't seem to, and I don't mind. I enjoy Eric Roberts, but this isn't about Eric Roberts. This is about what you guys did with Metropolis, and these projects. And thank you for sharing this with us. Now in Dream Video Division. Now, I think when we initially talked about it, you and I. You kind of you were part of Racer Trash, and then you kind of you helped co-found this version as that was
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dream Video Division just basically emerged complete from the end of Racer Trash. I joined Racer Trash somewhere in the middle, doing kind of the work I was already doing. I do a lot of analog tools. I work with stuff that would have been in MNN in 1987, like that kind of equipment. So they'll, if you plug the output of a thing into itself in audio, it hurts. It sounds really bad, that feedback. But in video, it gives you this like rising, colorful bloom, feedback bloom, and I will do it and say I can work with that. So
Yeah, well, maybe expand on that. Like, what kind of equipment are you using for that? I'm very curious about, and I'm sure other people are curious. Like, how do you get some of these? If you can
Yeah,
think of
yeah.
some of the
So,
names of things.
well, the way Metropolis was structured, which you just watched, is every seg was someone else's kind of their specialty. Everyone brings the tech that they're familiar with into it. Everyone plays around with it. So there are some things that are like the Rut Etra look with all the dots.
Uh-huh.
That one, I believe that was all scripting in After Effects.
Okay.
Some of the more kaleidoscope effects you can just do straight in Premiere, but all of the really colorful, smeary, it's like the fabric of the frame is breaking down. Maybe the edges are glowing. There's one in particular where there's like particles, kind of like rainbow particles floating to the left.
Yeah, that one was bizarre.
Yep, don't know how he did it.
And will he not tell you?
No, I asked him and he explained it, and I was like, but when I do it, this is like super inside baseball. So I could do the same look with my old equipment, plug the things into itself and get that kind of fringing, get that kind of rainbow effect, but they're going to go up.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how it was beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a great subtle effect, and then you have others that are just as awesome but less subtle using that same analog technology. Those just old equipment, and we'll turn high definition movie. We run it through this stuff that wasn't designed for that, and it breaks. We run it back out of that machine, and then Metropolis has probably the most scan lines of any of our pictures. So you can tell there's a lot of these segs where they'll do the effects, and then they actually point a camera at a TV to get it back up upscaled. So that's called rescanning.
Yeah.
And if you see the segs where it looks like a television. There's phosphors, there's pixels, there's scan lines to it. That someone has like covered up all their windows, shut the door, turn off the lights. The only light is coming from the old TV and old tube television. And then you can do it with your phone, point your phone at it, crop it down, and then you have a 4K version of what is only 480 lines.
So in a lot of ways, it's a kind of a mix of modern techniques and older, like analog. Like it's not. In a lot of filmmaking, you'll hear people talk about like, oh, well, I prefer to shoot on film, or people who are like, oh, I only want to use like the newest Cine camera that does all these things, all the fancy stuff and the 8K and all that. But as a group, you're kind of dedicated to
We throw the kitchen sink at anything. We're always like exploring. We're trying to figure out right now people are running AI images like nonstop, so we've explored that. I believe Metropolis was the first time that we'd tried to use AI, and this was a year ago. This was last September, I think, when we finished this. So we were working on it in August. And we used AI to take the existing footage and add frames, fix the frame rate, because old movies, they're only 18 frames per second. So we would add frames so that we could slow it down. And AI allows you to generate what those frames would be. You tell it, I have this one and this one, make everything in between. And it takes forever, like weeks, to render out the file. But yeah, we did that with, we did a lot of that AI slowdown in order to get a lot of those morphing shots. Yeah. So what happens if you've got a shot, like a close-up of two people, and then it cuts to a wide shot. When you tell the AI to smooth out the frames between it, you get this warped transition that anyone else would say, don't use that, that's broken. But why? Yeah, it's something you're never going to see otherwise. Yeah. But yeah, so we also use that slow-mo tech on we did a version of the Fast and Furious where everyone got their segs, but the seg was only 1 minute of the movie, and you had to turn in at least 5 minutes worth of a seg. So you had 1 minute of footage to work with. So absolutely everyone just slowed it down as much as they could, and then built on that foundation of what was there.
Yeah. So if there's a technology, old or new, and one of you wants to just say, like, I want to play with this, I want to use this in my segment. Like, there's no like, you can't use this thing, or you can't use that thing.
Oh yeah, no one's gonna ever tell you can't do something.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a like, our internal Discord has a channel called Inspo where someone will just see, like, hey, this box is insane, or someone will be like, what you did, like the dots, like that one.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how he did that. That came whole cloth out of the sky. He turned in the seg, we watched it at our internal screening, and all of us were just like, well, call it a day. this guy finally invented something that no one has seen before.
That's exciting.
It is. It's great. It's great. And our internals are crazy because they're just a bunch of people insulting each other for their work. Like, how would you even think to do that? How do you start?
It's fascinating, and I do want to just mention to those of you watching the live stream at home, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll certainly try to get to as many of those as we can. I realized I forgot to mention that up front.
That's okay.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I just want to talk to you about this. So, but yes, please do leave questions. But I guess. Speaking of like the collective, and that you're using, as you said, an internal Discord where you guys are communicating about it. It seems like, as a collective, as sort of a community, it seems like it's very sort of driven by experimentation and really sharing, like, inspiration and, like, here's how I did this thing. Is that accurate?
Yeah. We wouldn't do these things if they didn't delight us to see it. That's why Metropolis was commissioned by Fantastic Fest out of Austin, the Draft House people. Their theme for last year was robots or something. They start with the idea of a theme, and then they go away from it over the course of their planning.
Sure.
But they said robots, and then and they wanted something. They didn't want us to rip off Disney. They wanted something that maybe we could get away with a little bit. And Metropolis entered the public domain on January 1st, so that's ours. So we made Metropolis for them. But generally speaking, a lot of the movies we pick, everybody's familiar with it, and it really helps. Like, if someone's watching it and they know the movie, they're in on the joke too.
Yeah.
So if we did GoldenEye recently, being familiar with GoldenEye, all of the stuff we throw at you, you still know you can still place yourself in the movie.
Yeah.
And when we do this ourselves, when we do the internal screening, and when we pick a movie that we love, and then we break it up, we put it back together, we watch it, we laugh, it's great, and then basically we already start talking about the next project.
Right.
And then we do screenings for other people. Yeah. But yeah, if I think that it's probably harder if you're not familiar with the work. to ground yourself,
Sure.
to figure out the shorthand. This is because our language is kind of slang, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's an interesting kind of. It's interesting in that film already. That's what it's doing. Like it's a very, very, very symbolic medium. I mean, most art is, right? That was maybe not the right way to put it, but still, like it's very much about referencing like things that we know about, and so in a way that you're kind of reapplying that to it. The familiarity of film as an instructor, one of the things that I've tried to impress with people or impress upon people who are new to it is that they kind of already know how to do it, and they just have to trust themselves to do it because they've watched a movie. They understand the language of it. So you're kind of taking the language of it and you're almost like retranslating it with itself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we'll change the context. You know, the meaning of a scene stays the same, and sometimes people will just, you know, throw a song on there and cut it to the beat, trim some stuff out, make it more fun to watch, make it purple. And then other times you'll have this just incredibly complicated structure that's still the same scene, and it's there. It just has this. It has this quality like if you saw Metropolis 10 years ago, and you have a dream about it, and you're trying to tell them about the dream. That's what's left.
I mean. That kind of seems like what I just watched for sure. Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Fantastic Fest and you mentioned screening a few places. Can you maybe mention or tell us about like where are these screening? Obviously, you're doing them internally, which it almost seems like if nobody else wanted to watch it, you guys might do that anyway. But like who? Fantastic Fest is commissioning, but who else is asking for these?
Well, we did last year. We did Nosferatu for Overlook. We did for the Locarno Festival, the Avant-Garde Fest. That's where we did Speed. And so Locarno's, their theme was the 24 hours of attention. It was one stream that was 24 presenters, speakers, and artists. Laurie Anderson was on there, which is pretty cool. She was on the roster with us. And they said, like, nobody can do attention quite like you guys. So, would you like to do something for it? And we got together and bounced a few pitches around, and we ended up with one of our members made the pitch that let's do like a more hyperkinetic version of Speed. So everybody got, as the counterpoint to this Fast and Furious, I'll tell you about in a second. So everybody got 10 minutes of the movie, 12 minutes of the movie, and you had to turn in your seg was 1 minute. You had to take it and make it 1 minute long. Do whatever you want to it, but it has to be 1 minute. And we got in and out of Speed in 15 minutes, 41 seconds, which I think is a new record.
That's pretty, I'm going to do it. That's pretty speedy.
So sitting here with an hour to work with, and we've finished a movie in 15 minutes, we decided that we were going to take the Fast and the Furious and over the course of the next decade, make it a 9-hour-long epic by turning 1 minute into 5. And then we did a bit where the guy cut us off at 8 minutes, but to be honest, that's all we'd done. So
that's fair.
Yeah. So, but we did the first 8 minutes of the Fast and Furious, and we call it the Slow and the Serious, and it is 40 minutes long, and it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Maybe tell us. So Speed, the Slow and the Serious, Metropolis. You mentioned a few others. What are some others that you guys have done of these 70? You don't have to list all of them, obviously, but
Oh yeah, I can. I think I can name all the DVD ones.
well, at least some top choices.
All right, top choices. This is tough. Nope, can't pick favorites.
Well, don't pick favorites. Just the first couple.
Metropolis might be one of my favorites. Well, it is one of my favorites. Speed's really good. GoldenEye is pretty good. So we did. I'm not on this one, and it's one of my greatest life regrets because I didn't like the movie SeaBizkit, and I don't really like the band Limp Bizkit. So when the pitch SeaBizkit came through, I was like, well, that's okay. You guys have fun with that one. That'll be good. And it's amazing. It turned into we did SeaBizkit for the Toronto Film Festival. And this is going to get gossipy. Is that all right?
It's up to you.
Okay. So Barbarian was premiering that night.
Okay.
So all the Miramax people, who are owned by Disney, are there in their, business casual with the movie handcuffed to their wrist, there to make sure everything is right for the Barbarian screening. And we were up first. And we did 2 movies. And the first was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was pretty good. That one went well.
I saw that one. That was very enjoyable.
I think you did see it.
I did. You allowed me to participate
collaborated
with
me on the Chainsaw one because I had never seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, honestly, before.
And now you've seen the ska version.
And now I've seen the ska version of it. But as the expert of all the people I know in the world, as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre expert, I had to figure out what I was doing. So I went to Sean. Anyway, so I was on that one. I wasn't on the other one. Everyone watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then Barbarian was supposed to start. So people are like shuffling to their seats, and then the lights go down, and I think did it all for the Nookie starts, and all these horse racing scene stuff. And one person in the audience gets what we're about to do before everyone else. And so we have a recording of it. Just this woman going, "Oh no. Oh my God." And then right then the lights come up on SeaBizkit. It was awesome. So yeah, I don't know if we'll be invited back to the Toronto Film Festival, but it was my second time there anyway, so they took us last time. Maybe they'll do it again.
Okay. So we did get some questions from the audience, and one of them that came through is: are there any films you'd particularly like to do, but don't feel like you can/should for one reason or another?
I don't feel like there are any. I mean, there's movies that I think would go well, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's my story to deconstruct. Like, I would love Persepolis would be beautiful with all our tech. It's maybe not my story. Yeah. That holds me back. It's got to be fun. Like, I'm not going to do Come and See. Like, I probably can't do too much with that. There are things that, not technologically, but like, I know there's a clever angle that if I can break it, I want to do that movie. Like I'd love to do something with a fractured chronology, or like Rashomon, which I've legitimately pitched Rashomon. I just don't know how to. I'll figure something out. Maybe you'll see Rashomon in a year. Who knows? But yeah. So in general, we want to make sure it stays fun. I would only want to do personally. I would only want to do movies that I love. For one, I can love a bad movie. We could just sit here and talk about The Lone Ranger for an hour, you and I.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, or Xanadu.
Fantastic movie. I don't know why you're putting that in with the bad movies.
But yeah, so I need personally, I need to love it. I don't want to go into a re-edit of a movie thinking I'm going to fix something, because that's not the right way to do it. Yeah, I don't want to do it from a place of superiority, or I mean, the movie exists. They made their movie better than I would make their movie. So, but what I'm doing to the movie is kind of just adding a third dimension to it. This kind of like, impressionistic Z-axis to the picture.
It's more about sort of, not exactly. You want it to be more like a kind of a loving tribute to something than you want it to be sort of criticism or like you're not trying to improve on any of them or anything like that.
Yeah. The Racer Trash team, the last group, did Vertigo, and a lot of people had some demons they wanted to wrestle with in doing Vertigo. I wouldn't say a loving tribute. I want it'd be like buying a fixer-upper. You still have to love the house.
Okay.
So I don't have any resistance to tearing it down to the foundation and building back up from there. So it's less of a tribute in that, but I gotta love what was there to give me something to work from.
Okay. Yeah. And we did get how can we watch your cut of Speed? Is that out there?
I will put it to the gang, and maybe our cut of Speed will appear on Vimeo. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I would love to show off this stuff. The old stuff, the Racer Trash stuff, is all up on archive.org. Just go to archive.org, type in Racer Trash, and there's everything that the group did. Right up through Blue Velvet was the last one.
Okay. And I believe probably somebody else from the group said Magnolia is worth a mention in here.
Hi, Dave. Yeah, Magnolia is super good. Structurally, oh, man. Yeah, we've done so many like weird structural experiments. So I'm sorry. So Magnolia was broken up into 1 minute chunks as well. But we released 1 minute of it every day on Twitter, and everyone was a different artist. So every day there was a Twitter account that would just post, "This is today's Magnolia minute." And, we had guest stars. There aren't 180 of us. There's 14 members, I think. And then we have maybe another 24 contributors. But yeah, that's not 180 people. So we had just some went viral, some went less viral. Yeah, Magnolia was a 6-month run.
Okay, that's interesting. And another person said, I found the compositing one of the most interesting aspects of the film, making the flatness of the image even more so and giving it a sense of inescapability. What were some of the compositing techniques, software, etc.? Is that a part of your style?
So all of us have at least one pet technique for keyers. Personally, I use a Roland Eterol V4. I think it came out in 1992. But it's just the yellow video cable like you used to use for your Nintendo. So it's composite. You have your layers, and you can do. So I take my video signal. I split my video signal into a bunch of clones. So I have use a 4-to-1 splitter. Now I got four copies of my video signal. I can run each one into an effects box. These, the weird public access TV things I was talking about. All of them go into that mixer. Set up a keyer to say anywhere there's black, I want the glitch effect to come through. That's how I do it analog. Rotobrush in After Effects gives you basically puzzle pieces to work from. And then it's just a matter of putting the layers together. And you can make, there's so many wonderful, there's so many artists in the group that do like collage-like things. And it all starts from Rotobrush. You basically take your seg and disassemble the house, and then you've got a stack of lumber, and that's the pieces that you're going to work from. And that, composite everything out and just layer it back together. Leave a lot of black in there. So
Yeah. So it's again, some of you are using different tools. There's not one workflow, and even one of you might have multiple. Like an individual might just try different things each time.
Yeah. I used to have a much larger analog studio, basically, and I've just been paring it back. And but I'll throw a new trick in every so often. I did one of my Magnolia segs entirely in Touch Designer, so it's just you basically like. The idea is that all of these tools that come out, they don't necessarily make everyone's life better. They just make it different. Well, you can combine the tools, and then maybe you've got something to work from that no one has seen before.
Yeah, it's I think it's really interesting, exciting. Is there so there's how many of you are there in the collective?
That was just a guess. I think there's 14 now. Okay. Yeah. But there's also, we have contributors that we can go to pretty comfortably and say, hey, we got a spot on Flubber. We did Flubber. Manhunter. Manhunter's really good. So there's a captain for each project. So each person, someone will shepherd it through, and it's their responsibility to put it out there. People sign up for it, and the core members, we do the collective stuff. We vote on the projects, or we figure out what we're doing next, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things that I wanted to talk about, just it's a big topic, and we don't have to go that deep into it. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what you're doing, this remixing, this sort of repurposing of existing art that's in the news now in a couple of ways. There's obviously like the conversations around AI and AI using and being trained on it, which is one thing. But then there was probably about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, there was that court decision involving Andy Warhol and the Prince photo, and that reusage was deemed no longer, or was considered no longer to be fair use. Where does what you do kind of land in, as far as your perspectives is, in that fair use conversation? Is that something that you guys are concerned about talking about? Or are you just like, what, we're doing our thing. We're doing our thing for fun. People are asking for us to do it. Or like, where are you guys?
Those are two questions. To answer the second question first, it's not something we think about. First off, the Warhol case. The attorneys did a very poor job of establishing transformative in that piece. I have a very good friend that's an attorney, and he told me my stuff was okay before I asked him if it was. But we've had talks with people that are never had a cease and desist. We've talked to people that you would think they'd yell at us about it. No one ever has. We've never picked a fight. So we'll see. I mean, how many Disney movies we're gonna make. So we'll see how much trouble we can get into. But yeah, things I personally, I can't speak for the other members of the collective. I do think about it when I think about an audience, when I'm talking to a streaming service or someone that I think might want a piece. This did not happen, but for instance, if Shudder said, "Hey, we want Nosferatu," which is public domain, I think, we would go in and say, "Okay, well, what music?" We've never had this come up, but to think, what have we transformed adequately, and what did we just make a fan music video out of? That'll probably come up. But really, it doesn't hold us back. It never colors a creative decision, only determines what the project will be.
I think that, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's probably something, like, it just seems like that's a conversation that's going to be ongoing for a while. Well, it has been ongoing because it's really a conversation to a degree about, like, what is art? What is original art? What is there an inherent value to it already being original? Is there a difference there? And I think that, these sorts of things, like what we watched, what you guys make is exciting because, to me anyway, very much because of what you are doing, because in watching, just being the viewer, just being in the audience, I think we do transform works. One of the things I've always taught students is that, when you put your work out there, every single viewer is bringing their entire life with them in there, and they're going to watch a different movie. And I think one of the things that's interesting, exciting about this sort of thing, to me, is it's kind of taking that to a degree and then making something out of it.
Yeah, that's one of the strengths, I think, of like the exquisite corpse format. Two really huge advantages to it is, one, you're seeing everyone's perspective, all of these different artists, and everything is wildly different. And two, if you don't like something, it's going to end soon. So like there'll be another one, so, but like I said, it still holds together as the film, but it's generally, it's like, what did you get? What is your perspective on what's happening here? And it's so many different ways. A scene that exists that can be done can be repurposed in still an infinite number of ways, starting from that concrete thing that's already there. I think it's exciting, and it's a movie, but it's still in little bits, so you can take it as you want.
Hold it up here. That's what I'm doing wrong. That's what I'm doing wrong, because I can hear that breaking up. I guess the next question is really like, what are you guys doing next? Like, what's the next thing? What are people seeing next?
We have not announced our next project, but it is due very soon. So a lot of people, everybody has a different work style. Mine is to plan out what I'm going to do, wait until near the end, panic, and think next time I'm going to use that plan. So I have a long way to go on mine, but it's due in like 4 days. So the first Thursdays of every month, DVD will stream something. This first Thursday, August, whatever it is.
August 3rd, I think.
August 3rd, yeah. There will be something. And in this case, it will be new. So.
Okay. And can the folks can the folks out there who aren't already following y'all somewhere, where can they follow?
We're on Instagram, Dream Video Division. I think we have our Twitter. I left it when the ownership changed. So yeah, Dream Video Division on Instagram. The Twitch channel is where all of the events happen. Everything will be announced on Instagram and over to Twitch.
So that's a Dream Video Division. There's no fancy letters or weird spelling or anything like that. People just type that in.
Yes.
So thank you all for joining us back there at home. And we've got a few people here. Thank you for joining us. Join us again in a few months. Look out on our social medias, NYC CME on Instagram. We are on Twitter, Facebook. We also have a Twitch, although it's really mostly just we post stuff like this on it. We got YouTube.
Are you on Threads? Are you doing some Threads?
Not as NYCCME yet.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll advance to Threads at some point. Our Instagram is definitely a great place to find out where we'll be doing more of these CME Creator Showcases. This has been our video art focused one with you guys, and I'm very, very thrilled to have you here.
Thank you for calling us art.
I mean, of course. It's definitely that. And of course, we've got classes, NYC Center for Media Education.org. We're doing classes here in New York City, both up in our East Harlem location. We're in Hudson Yards, which is where we're at right now, in the screening room. Thank you again for joining us tonight, David.
Thanks for having me.
And everybody have a great night.